So, part 6 of the Norse myth and Bible, possibly having similarities and connections with one another. Only some select Vikings say possibly knew. It is not known whether the Vikings had a copy of the Latin Vulgate definitively, and this includes the revelation in 793 AD. We do know that they cared more about treasure and land from trying to travel there, and they would raid monasteries for supplies because the monasteries would be less defended. The conversion of the Vikings start in 950 AD. These conversions to Christianity weren't really, let's say, real. They either didn't believe at all, or they were using the Christians for free clothes, basically. Written sources mention a gift that came with baptism, a set of fine white clothes, which is the whole Revelation thing with the 144,000 and everything else. This tempted many Vikings to be baptized. A monk called Notker attended a baptism ceremony at the Frankish court in 800s and described how a Viking was also present. Many people were baptized that day, and when it came to this individual's turn, there were no more white clothes left. Therefore, he was presented with a set of coarser and simpler clothes. When this happened, he apparently said, 20 times I have been bathed and given the best and whitest clothes, but such a sackcloth is not fit for a warrior. It suits a swineherd better, and if it was not because I was ashamed of my nakedness, I would give you back both the clothes and your Christ. So you can see how this baptismal service wasn't really real to the Viking and how he was just basically using them. This is the late 800s, and they still do not yet believe. Not many Christians really dive into Norse myth, and we're told to flee from false gods and everything else. And I got into it basically because my family history, and I wanted to know more and see if everything is real or not, basically. So I have an open mind and just want knowledge, but it says, thou shalt not have any gods before me in the Ten Commandments, and so it's kind of acknowledging other ones. And so even if humans thought them as gods and they weren't really, or whatever the case may be, it still acknowledges it right there. So we have one of the first writings, the Prose Edda, written in 1225 AD. And this is one of the only writings that we have of the Vikings, or what they had believed. And those stories, Snorri Sturluson was a Christian also. It might be why there is similarities, but it still has the stories of all the characters that were Norse inside them. And is it a different story, or it depends on your opinion. There's 12 aces in Norse belief, and these include Odin, Thor, Loki, Heimdall, Hel, Surtur, and others. And so from that you can tell Asa means that they are deity. And Ragnarok is a time where it's the end of the world and these aces fight each other. And there's the Aesir and the Vanir. And basically the Bible breaks it down as revelation, and there's the good side and the bad side as well. And there's also a top deity of the Aesir, but not really mentioned. And it's kind of interesting. So the one at the top is called Amatki Os, and the Almighty God. See also the Aesir. And as many people know, that's basically his name, the Almighty God. And he got Yahweh when he was sending the messenger down in Egypt. And basically things were getting frustrated, and he's like, okay, just tell him my name. My name is Yahweh. You can see that right here. God uses his real name as he introduces himself to Moses in Exodus. Here are those verses. I am who I am. This is what you shall say to the sons of Israel. I am has sent me to you. This is what you say to the sons of Israel. Okay. So at the start of Ragnarok, Okay, the sun is darkened, the moon turns red, and weather is bad in general, including cold weather and others. Jormungandr, called the World Serpent, hurled into the sea as a small snake, has since grown into the Midgard Serpent and rises from the depths, causing tidal waves, while Fenrir breaks his bonds and howls at the gates of hell. Hel being a woman deity that is in charge of the underworld, and she provides them with an army of the dead, their essence sucked from them by Nidhogg, who will then follow Loki, now free, into the battle. Loki and his crew arrive at the Battle of Vigrid, Megiddo in the Bible, Revelation 16:16, with Surtur and his other fire giants either aboard the ship Naglfar or in another. Naglfar was a ship built of fingernails of the dead and is given in the Voluspa, another Norse writing, as a piloted by Loki, but elsewhere by the giant Hermir. Surtur wields a giant sword brighter than the sun as they come ashore at Vigrid and are met by Odin and the other gods of Asgard, along with the heroes of Valhalla and possibly those of Folkvanger, and those, though this is speculative. Odin is killed by Fenrir, the wolf, who is then killed by Odin's son Vidar. Thor kills Jormungandr, but succumbs to the serpent's poison after only taking 9 steps after the battle and falls dead. Loki and Heimdall kill each other. Freyr is killed by Surtur. Tyr and Garmr wind up killing each other, and Mani and Solvig are slain by Skull and Hati, 2 different wolves that caused the initial eclipse. Surtur sets fire to the world with his sword, and the 9 realms fall in flames, ending the cycle of life that began with the act of creation. So keep that note in mind, ending the cycle of life that began with the act of creation. So it was created as it was destroyed and blah blah. But 2 Esdras 6. Starting from verse 7, then answered I said, what shall be the parting asunder of times? Or when shall be the end of the first, the revelation of Genesis, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And you can go in through the rest of the chapter and read. And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have been lords over us, and to devour us. Now to get into Strong's to see what that word heathen actually means. Okay, so you have the word right there. Heathen man. National. Okay. Adapted the genus or customs of a people. Nature of pagans, alien to the worship of the true God. Pagan, Gentile. So we can gather that Esau was pagan and Odin. If you want that large rabbit hole, go look at the video I have on the rabbi just saying everything that happened. So is it just coincidental that the world serpent, Jormungandr, Revelation 12, Isaiah 27 mention Leviathan, a giant serpent that lives in the sea? The world serpent, Jormungandr, also lives in the sea, and they both come out in the end at Ragnarok and Revelation. In Revelation, the first trumpet is blown, and Heimdall blows his horn at Ragnarok. And that's in Luke 1. So my question is, what if everyone in Norse mythology just had a different name by different cultures, but they're all the same character and they have the same story? And for everyone saying that what would be Jesus, I have 2 candidates. One is Thidrandi, and the other is Balder. As you can see right here, Tale of Thidrandi, White Christ. And yes, it does have a birth, death, and resurrection, but in a different story. and I'll have to do another part.